The Motorola Edge 30 and the Vivo V23 are in similar price segments, but they also happen to be very different phones. So what are the differences here and which is the better choice to pick for the end consumer? Now this is what we're going to try to figure out in today's video. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and if you do end up liking what you see, thumbs up, subscribe and turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's get started. Let's first start with the built-in design. Here the Vivo looks absolutely fantastic with this glass back and the sides that look like metal but aren't. They're plastic, but this has such an iPhone vibe that personally I like. And the glass back here, it changes color when exposed in direct sunlight and it looks quite slick. The V23 is flat out a head turner. On the other hand, the Moto has a similar frosted back finish, but it's pretty muted in comparison. This also happens to be plastic, PMMA to be precise, and not glass. The sides don't offer that reflective metallic looking finish. So purely from a looks-based perspective, which is personal preference, I'd probably pick the Vivo V23. It also happens to be a tad more compact. But yes, there is a but. The Edge 30 is a lot more functional. The sides not being sharp helps with the ergonomics. The Edge 30 is slimmer and more importantly, way lighter. There's a 25-gram weight difference here. That's despite having the larger display. So overall, with built-in design, if you want flamboyance and that cool color-changing glass back, then go V23. If you want slim and light with a little more ergonomics, go Edge 30. Moving on to the display, both phones sport OLED panels, 6.44 inches on the V23 compared to 6.5 on the Edge 30. The V23 sports dual selfie cameras, so it has quite a large notch, which might definitely be a negative for some. But barring that, these are both excellent displays. They're sharp, they're vivid, while also being bright. Sunlight legibility is not going to be an issue with either. That said, the POLED on the Edge 30 does have one major advantage, the refresh. While we get a very respectable 90Hz on the V23, the Edge 30 has an insane 144Hz. And this is actually noticeable even with regular day-to-day use. Also note for protection, Vivo's gone with the shot sensation up while Moto's chosen the more popular Gorilla Glass 3. Now having a high refresh is not enough, you need to have the hardware to back it up. And well, both phones do. We get the MediaTek Dimensity 920 running the show on the V23. This is paired with 8 or 12 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM and 128 or 256 gigs of UFS 2.2 storage. The Moto Edge 30 on the other hand is powered by a more powerful Snapdragon 778G Plus SoC. It's also paired with 8 or 12 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM and 128 gigs of uMCP storage. uMCP speeds as per Moto are almost UFS 2.2, meaning it should technically be slower than what's on the V23. Usually if brands claim something, it's always an exaggeration, but here it seems like Moto might have just undersold the speeds, because in my testing, the Edge 30 storage speeds turned out to be actually better than UFS 2.2 on the V23. Anyway, specs, it's most definitely a win for the Moto. It's also worth mentioning both brands have their own cooling solutions at play and neither phone has any heating issues with extended usage. Now talking about extended use, there is one area where the Vivo Edge is ahead, and that's going to be battery. The capacities aren't all that different. The V23 only has about a 5% higher capacity battery, so it's 4200 mAh compared to 4020. But Vivo's software is more aggressive with how battery is being handled. So you can expect about a 10% difference in battery performance. With charging speeds, we get a 44-watt flash charger on the Vivo that gets you from 0 to 71 in about 30 minutes. On the Edge 30, it's a 33-watt turbocharger that gets you to about 63% in the same time. Guys, when I started using the Edge 30, I was a little worried about the battery capacity because these days, most brands, they do offer higher capacity batteries, right? But actually with moderate use, I didn't have any issues getting through a day with some slightly nervous battery start checking. With the V23, you'd get about 10% more. But that does come at a cost though, and that would be software. If you like close to stock Android, then the Edge 30 is pretty much unbeatable. There's nothing outside of a Pixel that's gonna give you this kind of stockish Android experience. The V23 software is also pretty stable, but it's not quite as stock. Both phones do run on Android 12 with their custom interfaces on top. It's just that Motorola's left a lot of things untouched. Also from a bloat perspective, there are very few apps preloaded on the Moto. So the experience, it's just a bit more cleaner overall. And a combination of that light, almost non-existent skin on top with the 144Hz refresh means everything feels a bit more snappier on the Edge 30. And if you're someone who's interested in retaining your phone for a while, software updates might be important to you. And this seems to be yet another area where Moto has, no pun intended, an edge. While Vivo has not promised anything for the V23 with regards to updates, Motorola has committed to 2 major Android version updates alongside 3 years of security patches. Anyways, on that note, let's now move on to cameras. We have triple camera setups on both. Starting with the primary, this is 64 megapixel f1.9 on the Vivo compared to 50 megapixels f1.8 on the Moto. The one on the Moto has optical stabilization, which Vivo lacks. Under good light, the detail levels are similar, but the Moto does better with colors, keeping them more natural. The Vivo cranks up saturation to the point where you get blue hues over buildings like you're seeing here. This was shot at noon and the saturation in the sky or the blue cast over the buildings, that is not what the scene was at all. Now with ultra-wide, we get an 8 megapixel shooter on the Vivo, 50 megapixels on the Moto. The higher resolution doesn't mean Moto runs away with this. Yes, the Moto has a little more detail, but it's not a big deal breaker. Vivo's higher saturation might be though. Now as far as video goes, both phones can shoot 4K 30 and the EIS on the Vivo means footage is a little more stable. But that comes at a cost of detail and also having a crop factor. The Moto footage isn't quite as stable, but it has no crop and it's a lot more detailed. Now under low light, here's where the OIS, it really kicks in. It becomes a major advantage for the Edge 30. It just shoots better images. Zoom in and you can see a lot of difference. Sometimes like here, zoom in and you can even see a little shake on the image shot on the V23. So with the rear cameras, images shot with the Moto, they appear more natural and have better detail, especially under low light. But with the selfie camera, Moto has a respectable 32 megapixel f2.3, which it fares well, it gets the job done, but Vivo has a 50 megapixel selfie shooter that is better with the skin tones, on par on detail, but it has 2 flashes hidden near the earpiece to shine under low light. And on top of this, Vivo also comes with a second selfie camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide for those group shots. So for selfies, Vivo's the clear winner. Now before we jump to the conclusion, do note that the Edge 30 allows for stereo audio while the V23 is limited to just a single downward fairing speaker. Neither phone has support for a 3.5mm jack or micro SD. And as far as pricing goes, the V23 is currently selling for 29,990 while the Edge 30 is priced 2,000 rupees cheaper. And initially that's 4,000 rupees cheaper since it has an instant discount of 2,000 rupees for a limited period of time. So where does this leave us? Let's break it down, shall we? The Vivo has the more attractive build with that color changing glass and all that. It's more compact, does 10% better with battery, has a faster charger, better selfie cameras, and is also the only one to offer a more expensive but 256 gig variant. The Moto on the other hand, it's priced as of now 4,000 rupees cheaper. It's slimmer and lighter. It has a slightly larger display with a much higher refresh rate. It offers better performance, sports stronger rear cameras, and also has that stockish Android with promised updates going for it. So my conclusion, if the looks and the selfie cameras or having 256 gigs of storage is very important to you, then get the Vivo V23. Else for the vast majority of users, the Moto Edge 30 is going to be the better solution. It's lighter in hand, also lighter on the wallet, and has the promise of being supported longer, combining that with a stronger Qualcomm chip on the inside and the stockish Android. It seems to be the sweeter deal. And that is my take. What do you think? Do you have a different point of view on this? Also, would you like to see any other phone pit against either of these? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, we are at the end of today's comparison video. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for watching. Until next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.